Hello, BookTube. This is Weekly Reads. My reading plan for this week, which was actually really good, was to read just manga over the last few days of July. But on Sunday, my desire to revisit the work of Troy Jollimore, a Canadian-American poet, became too strong to resist. So on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I read the 3 collections of his I have in my collection. And I continued that poetry reading into Thursday. So I'm going to start with the poetry and then work my way back to the manga. So the 3 collections of Troy Jollimore's that I have in my collection, all published by the Princeton Contemporary Poet Series through Princeton University Press, are Athlete Scugog, Syllabus of Errors, and Earthly Delights. Of the 3, I would say my favorite collection is Earthly Delights. It has what I think is probably Jollimore's best poem, American Beauty. Other poems of his I really like are Nostalgia, In the Garden of Earthly Delights, and the Athlete Scugog, and the Tom Thomson series from Lake Scugog. And I think those poems also appear in his first collection, which I do not have in my collection. So I really enjoyed this reread. I'm quite happy I finally gave in to this desire. And I have, over the last few days, wrote down a number of his poems, and I'm planning on reading them for Poetry Thursday in the next few months. Not in August, because I will be devoting Poetry Thursdays in August to Women in Translation. So that was really good. And on Thursday, I reread The Lions by Peter Campion. This is his second collection, but the first collection that I added to my collection. I have since added the rest of his collection, or his oeuvre, to my collection as far as I know. Earlier this year, I reread his most recent collection, but I've been feeling an urge to reread him as well. So I'm quite happy to have reread this because I really enjoyed this collection. My favorite poem from this collection is the title poem, The Lions. I also really like Lilacs, Embarcadero, and Protest. Some of these I will be reading for future Poetry Thursdays as well. Not the Lions, because there's a bit of spiciness in the poem, and I'm not entirely sure if I could get away with that for Poetry Thursday. Now, on to the manga. On Saturday, I read 6 volumes of Mission Yozakura Family by Hitsuji Gondaira, volumes 7 through 12. Mission Yozakura Family is about a young man named Taiyo Asano, who underwent a tragedy years before the series began that killed his family. During his time of recovery and pain, his best friend Matsumi Yozakura was there for him, and they formed a very tight bond. Unfortunately for Taiyo, at the beginning of the series, Matsumi's oldest brother, Eiichiro, takes an interest in Taiyo, and he so happens to be the assistant principal at Matsumi's school. Eiichiro has a decidedly unhealthy obsession with the safety of his sister, and he attempts to kill Eiichiro. The rest of Matsumi's siblings intervene and bring Taiyo to the Yozakura family mansion. There he learns that the Yozakura family are a family of super spies. Each member of the Yozakura family has a super ability, save for Mutsumi. She is completely mundane. And it is the mundane members of the family who are the family heads and also the progenitor of the next generation of Yozakura. The Mutsumi and her siblings try as well as they can to protect Taiyo from Eiichiro until they hit upon the one solution that could solve things, which is for Taiyo and Mutsumi to get married and for Taiyo to join the Yozakura family, which he does. And Taiyo begins to train as a spy to not only help protect Mutsumi, who has a number of enemies after her, but also to help further the Yozakura family business. Taiyo, even though a beginner, is quite an adept spy, and he gradually becomes more adept at spying and at performing operations. During an attack in previous volumes, Taiyo becomes empowered like the rest of the Yozakura family. In these volumes, Taiyo decides to infiltrate an organization called Tenpopo, who have designs on Mutsumi, and who is involved with the Yozakura siblings' father, Momo. And this leads to an assault on Tenpopo's primary headquarters, and Taiyo and the rest of the family trying to piece together what exactly it is that Daddy Darius is up to, as well as the darker history of the Yozakura family. I really enjoyed these 6 volumes, both the sort of the main storyline heavy chapters, as well as the more lighthearted breather chapters that go a long way to sort of enriching the characters of Taiyo, Mutsumi, and the rest of the Yozakura family. Now, this was a lot of fun. Oh, here's some images. So this is a Taiyo in infiltrating a train, that Tenpopo uses for smuggling. Oh yeah, so a lot of fun. So on Sunday, I was feeling really weird and only managed to read 3 volumes of manga. Volumes 4, 5, and 6 of Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi. Hunter x Hunter is about a young man named Gon who aspires to become a hunter like his father so that Gon can travel the world and hopefully eventually find and meet his father. During the hunter license exam, he meets 3 people who will become his best friends. The aspiring doctor, Leorio, a young man on a quest for revenge, Kirapika, and a young man from a family of assassins named Kalua. So for much of these early volumes, the focus is on the hunter license exam. This then leads to Gon and Leorio and Kirapika going to track down Kalua, who has returned to his family, and then Gon and Kalua going to train for a few months at a tower of fighting. These volumes were quite a lot of fun. I quite enjoyed them. Let's look at some. And a lot of what these volumes are building up to is Gon hoping for a fight with this individual here. A recurring antagonist named Hisoka. And one thing I like about Gon's character is that he is very determined. He will not give up under any circumstances. Even to extremes. So yeah. And then on Thursday, I had enough time to read the first volume of Undead, Unluck, Volume 1 by, well, obviously, by Yoshifumi Tozuka. So this is a relatively newer series. Came out it came out about the same time Mission Yozakura Family came out, and actually ended around the same time as well. Although I'm not entirely sure how many volumes this had. I know Mission Yozakura Family had 29 volumes ultimately. So Undead Unluck is set in a world very similar to our own, in which some people have superpowers. The main character, Izuko, has an ability to change the luck of people who come into physical contact with her, to sometimes spectacularly unlucky results. She is the Unluck of the title. She is attempting to commit suicide at the very beginning when she is approached by a man named Undead, who is hoping that her Unluck ability will negate his own ability of immortality. He is the Undead, obviously, of the title. Things initially don't quite go Undead's way, and he regenerates. It's then that both Izuko and Undead are attacked by an organization called the Union that have basically appointed themselves the task of capturing and experimenting on and eliminating these superhumans called negators. However, Izuko and Undead discovered that if they eliminate two high-ranking members, they could take their places and join the organization themselves, which is what they aim to do. Early in this volume, they managed to take down one, and in the later part, they attempt to take down another one, although that conflict isn't going as of the end of this volume. I really liked this volume. I really like Unluck's character, and I'm also quite fond of Undead. He is a trip and a half. And many of the characters in this series are rather bananas. Now, one thing to be aware of in this first volume, and I think the early volumes of Undead Unluck, is that Undead has a propensity to lose his clothes. So he has a number of sensor bars. And I really like Unluck and Undead's relationship, budding though it is. It's like they have a really fun dynamic. So I had a lot of fun with this. So what will I be reading today? I think today I'm going to be returning to One Piece. and read volumes 37, 38, and 39 from this omnibus edition. So One Piece by Eiichiro Oda is about a young man named Monkey D. Luffy who aspires to become king of the pirates. He has left his small village and has built up a small crew, and they've gone on a number of adventures. In these volumes, Luffy and the crew are trying to find a missing crew member, Nico Robin, and to prevent a government organization from using her to their own ends, as well as preventing them from acquiring a super weapon. On Saturday, I will be reading the July pre-orders that I pre-order every month from Book People. Those books will appear, if everything goes according to plan, later today in a late book haul. Expect a first book haul after this video. After I read those 8 volumes on Saturday, I will probably on Sunday reread Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee. And if I have enough time, I might try to redeem Paradais by Fernanda Melchor. If not, I might read some poetry. Depends, I don't know. And I think over the course of the work week, I will try Sundiver by David Brin. If that doesn't work out, I will pivot to either more poetry. I'm feeling an urge to reread Anne-Marie Macari, as well as some more Peter Campion, or maybe a shorter work from my TBR or my August reading plans. I don't know. I will, of course, report back next Friday on how things actually progressed. Although I may do a separate video for the August pre-orders. July pre-orders. And just group them all together, if that might be a bit more valuable for people who are interested in those books. But I will debate that over the weekend to see if I want to talk about the pre-orders all together in a separate video or as part of weekly reads. But anyway, BookTube, that's my reading week. I will be back with 2 manga haul videos, so expect the next one here in a few moments. So until then, BookTube, thank you. Have a great rest of your Friday and have a good weekend, and I will see you soon. So until then, stay safe.